All right, Shalom Akim. I like to say Kal Halayim, Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakodash. Double honors the apostles, elders of Great Millstone and Rubel. Peace and salutation to the Akimoni world that pushes truth to the four corners of the earth, right? This is Yaraba from the GMS Trinidad East Camp. I say I'll go through a few precepts. I'll entitle it, sacrifice. Right, we'll go through some precepts, and we'll go through a few definitions, right? They say, the Romans 12 verse 1, right? They say, I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of Yahweh, right, of power, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice. It's a wholly acceptable unto power, which is your reasonable service. Now, that sacrifices go in many different ways. It's not just about giving up things that you might have to give up in the world, but also about giving up when it comes to yourself. You understand? When it comes to your own desires and your wants and your preferences. Right? So you look up the word sacrifice. They wasn't showing all this crap, this notification before, why they're doing this now. Alright, sacrifice, right? It's the act of giving up something that you want to keep. Right? Especially in order to get or do something else or to help someone. You see how they say giving up something that you want to keep, which is a trial that many men just go through and a lot just fail. Why? Because certain things that they just had to give up, they don't want to give up on. You understand? Jakes do like to give up on comfort. If they had to give up the family, they don't want that. If they had to give up the woman, they don't want that. You understand? Jakes just fail at these kind of trials. That way scriptures talk about that. I say, he that loveth father or mother more than me, or son or daughter more than me, is not worthy of me. Right? It goes with different definitions. To say an act of killing a person or animal in a religious ceremony as an offering to please a god. Right? And we is that living sacrifice. We is that offering. Right? You say a person or animal that is killed in a sacrifice. There you go down. Definition 1. It says an act of offering to a deity, which is a god, right? It says something precious, especially the killing of a victim on an altar, right? It says something offered in sacrifice. It says destruction or surrender of something for the sake of something else. And you see destruction or what? Surrender. Surrender means to what? To give up. Like when somebody in a war and they surrender, they give up to the will of the other party. Right? Which go back to what I was talking about before. We say about giving up your own desires. You understand? Surrendering yourself. These are the kind of things that Jake does find difficult to do. Or even difficult to grasp. Why? Because Jake's like the desires to be met. Right, now you go to the actual word itself in the Strongs. It says sacrifice victim. Literally and figuratively. You understand? They didn't give much definitions here per se. But we went through some definitions of what the actual word go back to. Any different definitions of sacrifice. Right? Let me get next precept. I'll go to Matthew 19. I'll start from, maybe see. I'll start from Matthew 19. I'll start from 19, right? Matthew 19, verse 19. It says, honor thy father and thy mother, and thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. And he was giving out a little list of different things pertaining to the law. People like to talk about the law done away with, but he was even quoting certain laws, and it's not just 10. You understand? It's more than 10, because you still can't be a homosexual, you still can't have sex with animals, none of these things you still can't do. You understand? But he was just giving them like a rough little briefing of certain things that they talk about in the law pertaining to the Old Testament. Alright? And that is why he was giving them like a rough little layout of certain things. Right, verse 20, it said, the young man said unto him, it said, all these things I have kept from my youth up. They say, what lack I yet? Right? So you want to know, well, wait is I missing if I doing all these things since I was small? You see, our Shai said unto him, if thou will be perfect, right? If you're ready perfect, it say, go and sell that thou hast and give to the poor, and thou shalt have treasure in heaven, and come and follow me. You understand? This was a type of sacrifice. And this was the what? This was to prove his faith. To actually show him without actually telling him where it is he was lacking. Faith. And like I said, sacrifice is something that Jake's not good at. They're not good at sacrificing the things around them, and they're not good at sacrificing their own desires. You understand? Jake just want to have a cake and eat it. As he's saying this go. They don't like to give up anything, but they like to gain everything. But it don't work that way. The more definition of sacrifice that goes back to giving up something to obtain something better, which is what the men of the Lord doing. They're sacrificing the things that they could enjoy. It's mostly wicked things you'll be giving up. You understand? But they're sacrificing their own desires so that they have a crown to receive. You understand? They have comfort to receive on the other side. But that takes faith. Right? Right, say, and thou shalt have treasure in heaven, and come and follow me. He said, but when the young man heard that saying, he went away sorrowful, for he had great possessions. And that was his trial. And that was a simple trial that he failed. You understand? He didn't want to make that sacrifice. He said, then Adania, I just closed this up now. It said, then said Adania means my Lord. You know, Adania means my Lord in Hebrew. It said, then said Adania unto his disciples, it said, verily I say unto you, that a rich man shall hardly enter into the kingdom of heaven. Why? Because they don't want to give up their riches. They don't want to do the things that please into the Most High. They will do the things that please into this world to keep the riches. Because the minute you start to walk in the ways of the Lord, especially depending on what level you're on, the wicked people that are among you will shun you. You're not going to have that wealth anymore. It's not going to be the same. They don't want to do business with somebody who preaching on the streets like a madman. You understand? And the Lord could even deliberately take that wealth from you to try you. You understand? And when that time comes, what will happen? You'll depart from the Lord to regain your riches. Because you're so accustomed to that life of comfort and prosperity. Which the scriptures itself show you that is not something that the Lord was promoting. Even though it might have had one or two men who did believe in the Lord that was rich, the Lord wasn't promoting, just going around and being rich and bountiful and, sow a seed and you'll receive blessings upon blessings. The Lord never used to promote that. That is what these churches just promote. And majority of the people who actually go to these churches, they're not rich. It's mostly the pastor and one or two other people who have businesses. But majority of them who hearing about sowing a seed and receive riches, none of them rich. You understand? Is the pastor who taking the money rich. But this is not what the Lord was done for. Right? We see what he was done for. In verse 24, and again I say unto you, it is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of power. He said, when his disciples heard it, they were exceedingly amazed, saying, who then can be saved? You understand? Because that's the things that what men mind is mostly follow: money, wealth. It said, but Adania beheld them and said unto them, with men this is impossible, but with Yahweh, right, with the Most High, all things are possible. Because really and truly is the Most High that controls all things. If he realize you can't handle money, he'll just take it from you. And you had to deal with that sacrifice. You understand? It's not because, you're not rich anymore, or you're not as bountiful as you used to be before you come in the truth, that means you'll depart. You understand? All that go back to the sacrifice. Because when you come into the truth, not every single thing you'll have to give up. The scriptures give like an outlining of all different things that you might possibly have to lose. But you mightn't lose all of it. It might have some men who might have it hard with money, but they might be good with the family. The family mightn't shun them. And then there's some men might be well off financially, but the family shunning them. and the wife getting them problems, you wouldn't be affected. You mightn't be affected by every single one, but the outlining of things that the Lord state, whichever one you had to lose, you had to deal with that. That's a part of the sacrifice. You understand? You can't want to look towards your own desire and say, well, I don't want to lose this, so I'm not going to do the Lord work. You had to deal with whatever sacrifice the Lord put in front of you. That is a part of it. Right? It's a part of that sacrifice. It says in verse 27, right? It said, Then answered Peter and said unto him, Behold, we have forsaken all and followed thee. It said, What shall we have therefore? So they made that sacrifice. When the Lord said, hey, leave what you're doing and come and follow me. That's paraphrasing. All of them, just like the guy from who you read further up, he didn't want to give up shit. He walked away. But they gave up everything. Right? Just like the men of the Lord will. They will give up wherever it is the Lord desire of them to give up, to receive what they had to receive on the other side. You understand? They will make that sacrifice. It say, verse 20, it say, Ananias said unto them, Verily I say unto you, that ye which have followed me in the regeneration, it say, when the Son of Man shall sit in the throne of his glory, it say, ye also shall sit upon 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. You understand? So they have a bountiful reward to receive for sacrifice, for whatever it is they had to give up. And honestly, they had to give up more than a lot of us today, because they had to literally leave the homes and the jobs and travel from city to city, tongue to tongue, writing letters, checking up on this person, checking up on that person. You understand? They had it tough. Sometimes they had no place to sleep, and at the end, most of them were killed. You understand? They had it tough, and they made that sacrifice because they understood what is the glory and the reward to receive afterwards. And the men of the Lord who are actually in the truth and just follow the truth sincerely, they know that these are the things that they will have to do also in some way. You understand? If it presents itself, because there's a part of the walk. You understand? The scriptures talk about war counting the cost. I'll get that scripture after. You have to count the cost. You don't know from the time you come in this truth. You read, you hear, you understand certain things. You know you had to give up stuff. You had to make that sacrifice. So like, yeah, this stupid thing keep popping up. Let's see if I could stop it. Give me a second. Right, so like, yeah, for some reason keep auto starting. Strip it up. Right, we know it is we had to give up, and if necessary, even to the end. The scriptures say what some will be martyrs for the truth, meaning what they'll be killed. Scriptures talk about some being beheaded for the word. There would be some that will live to the end, but some might have to die for the truth, and that is a sacrifice also you had to prepare yourself for when that time come. You had to give up yourself. Scriptures talk about what he that findeth his life shall lose it. You understand? And he that loseth his life for Daniel's sake shall find it. You understand? See verse 29, it say, and everyone that had forsaken houses, or brethren, or sister, or father, or mother, or wife, or child, or land, it say, for my name's sake, it say, shall receive 100-fold, and shall inherit everlasting life. Going back to the definition of what? Sacrifice. The giving up of something to attain something better. Right? I didn't read that definition, but that is one of the definitions I saw at a previous time. Alright? Let me go to the counting the cost. Because like I was saying just now, you had to count the cost when you're in the truth. You had to understand where you're in, what you had to give up, and what it is you're going to receive. You had to understand that. And always pray that the Lord is with you to help you fulfill these things, that you don't fall away. David talk about take not thy Holy Spirit from me. That is not something to look forward to, especially when the end is so close. Right? It say in Luke 14 verse 28. It say, for which of you, intending to build a tower, sitteth not down first and counted the cost, whether he have sufficient to finish it. Even if you had to build a house, what you had to do, you had to plan it. You had to make sure you have enough money, make sure you could pay workers. You wouldn't just start building a house and you ain't even know if you could be able to stretch. You understand? You sit down and just plan these things. Would I be able to finish this house? You wouldn't just go and buy a car. Say, would I be able to pay for this car? You know, just our next example. You will sit down and you will plan and think about these things. And when you truth you that, you gotta think about these things. Once you come out the matrix, you can't go back in. And if you try to be like Slifer and try to cut a deal with the agents to go back in, you'll just end up being destroyed. Just like how he was. You can't go back in the matrix. Once you come out, you have to live on the outside until the end, or until your end. Right? It say verse 29, it say, less happily after he had laid the foundation and is not able to finish it. It say all that behold it begin to mock him. And that is the next thing that you'll do, you'll shame the ministry. Because you can't be preaching one thing and then after a while it just fall out. And he was talking about thing and whatever, and about not doing this and giving up that. And what should he doing now? He just like one of we. You understand? You're gonna make the Lord a laughing stock. You shame the ministry. Your judgment gonna be worse than the unbelievers. Right? It's a saying, this man began to build and was not able to finish. You understand? All of this is examples of what sacrifice. You gotta understand what you're a part of. And you gotta understand what you had to give up from the start. And you gotta prepare yourself for that. Because when that time come, that you had to lose this or that, you can't be moved because of what you lose. You understand? All of these things are part of the walk. Say, let's get a layout of different things, brothers, house, land. You know, I don't know if I say house or land. I think I said land. I remember house, but all of these things could be lost. Scriptures talk about it. It say, I count all things as dung. You understand? All of these things are expendable. The Lord give it and the Lord take it away. But the Lord will always remain blessed forever. And you also have to keep these things in mind. It says there's 1 Samuel 15 and 7:20, right? I'll start from 19. 1 Samuel 15 verse 19, right? It say wherefore then didst thou not obey the voice of the Lord, but did fly upon the spoils, and didst evil in the sight of the Lord, because the Lord had ordered them. It had certain places to go. They wasn't allowed to take the spoils. They were supposed to destroy everything, cattle, gold, everything they was supposed to destroy. Certain places to go, they could take spoils, and certain places to go, they could not take no spoils, they couldn't take no cattle. They had to kill everybody. They had to annihilate everybody. Right? You see, and Saul said unto Samuel, yea, I have obeyed the voice of the Lord, and have gone the way which the Lord sent me, and have brought Agag the king of Amalek, and have utterly destroyed the Amalekites. It say, but the people took the spoils, sheep and oxen, the chief of the things which should have been utterly destroyed, to sacrifice unto the Lord thy power in Gilgal. And he was held responsible for that. Why? Because he's the king. He allowed the people to do it. That go back to what? Leadership. Whenever it is somebody flicking up in the group and the leader not dealing with it, and he aware of it, he also responsible, because it's his job to make sure that things go a certain way. The charge was given to who? Was given to Saul. He was the king. And he allowed the people to do what the Lord said they're not supposed to do. So he was held responsible. Right? And they actually took the stuff that the Lord said to destroy and sacrificed it unto the Lord, which is a mindset that Jake does have. Jake will take something or meddle in something that the Lord tell them not to, and they'll want to tell themselves they're using it for good. You understand? That is the kind of mentality Jake does be in. But let me see what Samuel said. And Samuel said, had the Lord a great delight in burnt offerings and sacrifices, as in obeying the voice of the Lord? You understand? It said, behold, to obey is better than sacrifice, because obedience is a sacrifice. When you either give up or yield to somebody else's desire, that is a sacrifice. Especially when you want to do contrary, that is a sacrifice. That why I talk about like say if a man have a wife and his wife is in subjection, you understand? She will do what she husband tell her to do, even if she might not want to do it or might not like it. You understand? That what called being under subjection. That is a sacrifice. To do something that you don't want to do or that you're against, that is a sacrifice. And these are the kind of sacrifices that the Lord does be desiring of you. To do what the Lord tell you to do. He didn't ask you how much you like it or what you would prefer. The sacrifice is what? To obey the voice of the Lord. That better than a burnt offering. And spiritually it is a burnt offering. Why? Because your body is a living sacrifice. And it goes back to what? The fire, the baptism, the fire, right? Which is the affliction and the different things you had to go through. Right? Right, it's read over. You see, and Samuel said, had the Lord a great delight in burnt offerings and sacrifices, as in obeying the voice of the Lord? It say, behold, to obey is better than sacrifice, and to hearken than the fat of rams. For rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft. You understand? Say, for rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft, and stubbornness is as iniquity and idolatry. And that is why you see the 2/3 of our people are going to be destroyed. Because all these things he called here is penalties of death. You understand? And that is what rebellion is like towards the Lord. Eventually it leads to destruction. Because thou hast rejected the word of the Lord, he had also rejected thee from being king. So there's a few precepts I went through, talking about sacrifice. It had different aspects of sacrifice, giving up things in the world, giving up your own rights or your desires. Like when I talk about in the Freemasonry, like selling your soul, that goes back to what? Into giving up your rights for those paper dollars. You understand? But the men of the Lord has give up their rights. You understand? And yield to what the Lord say, to receive the things that we had to receive on the other side. Even though we can't see it with our eyes, we believe that these things will be received. You understand? We have faith. Scriptures refer to us as prisoners of hope. You understand? But that sacrifice go back into serious things that brothers just had to watch a particular way. Not everything you like you would have. But that what the sacrifice is about giving up to receive something better. And that the mindset that you had to be in, because when you look at all the things that we might have to lose or go through now, in time to come it'll be worse. When the time of Jacob trouble reach, you'll have more sacrifices to make. You'll have more things to give up. Some of us might even have a house to stay in. You understand? Might have to be sleeping out in the cold. We don't know. So you had to be in that mindset. You understand? Anyway, I hope it was edifying. With that, I like to say Shalom. Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, Hashem Rakakodash. Right? Akim, stay strong.